Right now on KGW News, they already have homes. Now they're worried they're about to lose them.
Everybody just feel lost. We fear of being homeless, and nobody can afford to get any other place.
How these residents are working together to try to buy the land they can only afford to rent.
Plus, a new survey shows the mood among Portland area voters still scraping the bottom of the barrel.
And people are telling us right now that things aren't going well.
The one area where they feel it's worse than ever.
But first, it's one response to a rise in overdose calls.
Your eyes are always scanning, regardless of whether it's a hot spot or not.
We ride along with a new team trying to spot people in need before they call for help. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm China Green.
And I'm David Molko. That new team in downtown Portland was created to take the strain off firefighters who've been responding to hundreds of overdoses every month.
Our Blair Best got to go along with the crew tonight to see how they're taking a different approach to reach people on the streets.
So we're gonna go patrol the Old Town area. Historically seems to have a higher number of overdoses.
EMT Mandy Boynton and paramedic Justin De Jesus are part of Portland Fire and Rescue's new overdose response team.
We're coming into this with a different mindset.
The pilot project started about a month ago. 10 hours a day, 4 days a week, teams of 2 respond to overdoses downtown instead of firefighters.
I think that it's what the city needs in a more appropriate resource.
Rather than wait for dispatch, this team heads straight to the streets.
People who are, slumped over.
Spotting what many try to ignore.
Obviously, you're looking for breathing, seeing if they're not moving. There's been a lot of just kind of drive-by, happenstance overdoses that we've come up upon.
A man under a sleeping bag catches Mandy's eye on Southwest 5th and Harvey Milk.
It was on the right, at the bus stop.
They circle the block.
Yeah, they're standing up now, but before, they were totally folded over. So that's just kind of that classic sign that, they could, to be honest, be like dosed appropriately where they, have gotten the high that they want. And but you want to make sure that they're breathing.
As they scan the streets, 2 overdose calls come in, both in deep southeast, which is outside their response zone. So firefighters go instead.
And hopefully we're kind of proving our worth in this, and then we can make an expansion for some other areas that we know could use some relief from the overdose response team.
The team typically goes to about 10 overdoses a day. It's 4 o'clock when they head to one close by on Southwest Salmon Street.
It's like coming up on the left.
It happened inside an apartment building on private property, so we had to wait outside.
So this apartment building here in particular lately has had a lot of drug addicts around.
There has to be a point where, where enough is enough.
We did end up administering a low dose of Narcan and allowed that to take effect. And then we had the ambulance crew come in, and just between the 4 of us, we all assessed him, and he came to and, decided to decline going to the hospital.
It's now the end of their shift.
So we have to have our rigs back and restored by 6 p.m.
But the crisis continues.
They were happening everywhere at all hours, all the time, so it's just because we go home doesn't mean that overdoses and emergencies stop.
All right, so while their current hours are clearly limited, the program is growing in other ways. Next week, they're going to start offering people who overdosed a drug that will help lessen the withdrawal symptoms. And then a follow-up team will try to get them connected to addiction services the next day. Yet that all depends on the person being willing to accept that help. David, China?
Yeah, along with enough treatment options being available. Thank you, Blair. Well, it is no surprise drug use is one of the top concerns for voters in the metro area. According to a new survey, the vast majority of people say the city of Portland is still moving in the wrong direction.
The Portland Metro Chamber, formerly the Portland Business Alliance, just released results of its annual poll asking voters how they feel about a wide range of issues. And John Adams has been going through the data all day. John, what is the biggest concern for residents?
Well, homelessness has by far been the most common concern. Crime and drug use were also mentioned by many, as well as the cost of living. And an overwhelming majority, 78%, feel the quality of life in the metro area is getting worse. Voter sentiment in the Portland metro area is getting more pessimistic. A poll of 500 voters in the Tri-County area shows people are souring on the local economy and are feeling unsafe in downtown Portland. 47% of people now have a negative perception of economic opportunities in the area, which surpasses people that have a positive perception for the first time in the poll's history. Of the 3 counties surveyed, Multnomah County residents are the most concerned about how things are going. 69% say the county is headed in the wrong direction. That's compared to only 40% of voters in Clackamas County and 34% of voters in Washington County who feel like things are on the wrong track. We spoke with John Horvick of DHM Research, who conducted the poll. He says top concerns for voters have shifted.
K-12 education is interesting. K-12 education used to always be towards the top of the list. I think part of the reason we're not seeing it right now is because the urgency of homelessness, the urgency of addressing crime and drugs is just crowding out education as an issue that is flashing in people's minds.
Another metric that has changed drastically in the last handful of years, how safe residents feel in downtown Portland at night. 74% of people now say they feel unsafe after the sun goes down.
This is a big change. So in 2015, for example, which is not that long ago, it's in the last decade, right? In 2015, just 35% of Portlanders said that they felt unsafe downtown at night. So there has been a doubling of that over the course of the last decade.
Just a few weeks ago, Portland leaders gathered at City Hall saying safety in the city is improving.
Overall, crime in Portland continues to go down.
Police data shows homicides dropped 23% year over year. Gun violence is down, and crimes like vandalism have dropped as well. Horvick said it can sometimes take time for public sentiment to catch up with hard data.
We're not necessarily feeling those yet, or at least everyday folks aren't saying that they're feeling those yet or have confidence that they will be sustained.
Well, another concern that respondents had was high taxes. 7 in 10 people surveyed said their taxes were too high. That's up from 6 in 10 just a year ago, guys.
John Adams reporting, digging into that data for us. Thank you, John. And to get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, a woman was found dead inside a home in the Lentz neighborhood. This is a spot on Southeast 100th where gunshots were reported just before 10 this morning. Police crisis negotiators spent several hours trying to convince a suspect to come out and surrender. After they got him into custody, they discovered the victim inside. Investigators aren't releasing any more information tonight about the victim or what led up to the shooting, only saying there is no longer a threat to the community.
In Clark County, authorities say DNA evidence helped them solve a nearly year-old case. Last February at a gas station in Hazel Dell, authorities say a man tried to carjack a driver while he was putting air in his tires. The two fought, and eventually that suspect ran off. Police say he left something behind, though, clothing at the gas station. Through DNA analysis, authorities say they were able to identify Jeffrey Bohl as their suspect. Bohl was arrested late last month and now faces charges.
And TriMet is throwing its support behind a measure that would stiffen criminal penalties for illegal drug use on public transit. The Oregon Transit Association and a union representing transit workers are pushing a bill, the state legislature, that would make drug use on buses, trains, and transit stations a Class A misdemeanor. A conviction would be punishable up to a year in jail, a $6,000 fine, or both.
Affordable housing took center stage today in Salem as lawmakers gave the governor's housing production bill her top priority this session, its first public hearing. Governor Tina Kotek was there to testify along with dozens of others supporting Senate Bill 1537. Kotek says the bill includes $200 million for housing infrastructure, another $200 million to finance moderate income housing, and more money for site acquisitions, local planning, and accountability. The governor told the Senate Committee on Housing and Development the state must work to fix its housing crisis.
This is affecting our economy. It's affecting the health of our communities, and we are seeing the ultimate result of not enough housing that is affordable, and that is our homelessness crisis. A lot of things have happened over the last 2 decades to bring us here, but I know we can solve it.
The governor's office says Oregon needs to build nearly 500,000 units in the next 20 years just to keep up with demand.
This is KGW News at 11, and still ahead, taking back their homes. A community bands together amid fears that the land they live on is up for sale.
And students gain some new perspective after some landed their first pair of glasses. Ashley?
A rainy, cloudy Thursday. Here's a live look at downtown Portland right now. But what's next? Well, we'll see this rain continue with us into tomorrow morning. We'll even see some mountain snow. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up. But first, tonight's ski report.